Of the Aurora City Council for Monday, March 9th, 2026 is called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman.
Here.
Councilmember Andrews.
Here.
Councilmember Bergen.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Coombs.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner. Councilmember Hancock.
Here.
Councilmember Horton.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Wiles.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Joshua Riddell, please take a seat at the end.
How you doing?
Thank you so much for your interest in being a member of the Civil Service Commission. You have 1 minute for introductory remarks.
Okay, my name is Josh Riddell. I've been a Aurora resident for all but 2 years of my life for educational purposes. I had to move out of the city, but been here my entire life, still am. I live over in Blackstone now. Went to school, Aurora Public Schools all the way through. I've served on multiple Aurora boards and commissions. I was on the Oil and Gas Advisory Commission for 3 terms before I was term limited out. I've also been on an older variation of the Independent Review Board. I served on that for a while until they revamped it. I was a reserve police officer for Jefferson County, so I've been through this process. I've experienced kind of what a civil service process looks like. I served in that capacity for 2 years, and now I am the chief growth officer for a defense contractor called Synergy ECP that's based in D.C., but we have offices here and elsewhere.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Andrews, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
So, in this role, how do you see it? How do you see your role impacting the city?
So this is an important role just because it's a separate service that establishes the hiring process for Aurora Public Safety. I take that very seriously.
Yep.
The people that serve our community need to be vetted properly. So the processes that are in place to establish the right group of people are very important. So to be able to have an impact on ensuring that the practices and procedures are followed, and then also perhaps offering possibilities and examples of how to improve it is something that is exciting to me. As someone that's been through this process too, I've been on the other side of it, so I understand how nerve-wracking it can be for people that are trying to get into public safety. So to be able to also create a fair process to ensure that the right people are on the streets supporting our community, I take that very seriously.
Follow-up question: how do you ensure the right people are a part of the process and are on the?
Well, if you look at the charter, I believe pretty strongly that the practices that have been put in place by the Civil Service Commission are very fair. I think they're very thorough. So I think the big thing is just maintaining and ensuring that those procedures are followed to the letter. Right? No stone goes unturned, and make sure that the investigative process is done. Evaluate the way that the personnel go through the process. And then also ensuring that it's merit-based. This is supposed to be merit-based, so ensuring that the right people are doing it, it's really just a matter of maintaining discipline and rigor with the process, in my opinion.
Councilmember Bergen, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Joshua, for this very important commission. And I want to say, I want to commend you and also Marcus Marino. You actually did fill out your application thoroughly in terms of answering the question why you wanted to be on the board. 2 other people just said they just want to serve the city. So I appreciated the thought behind that. So my question is, as you know, per the city charter, the commission was established, and we have the hiring process, the disciplinary process, and then also the promotional process. So can you just maybe tell me a little bit about those three processes and if any one of them particularly appeals to you?
The hiring process is, all three are very important. The hiring process is something that is important to me just because it's the younger group of people and people that are maybe looking to do something completely different with their lives. You've got a lot of different people that want to get into law enforcement or fire. So, that process for them it's important. It's very thorough if you look at the charter and look at the practices that are in place and the procedures in place. So it's very thorough that all the different steps, the testing, the psychological evaluation, the background check, all of that. So that's important to me, and I think it's the right way to get new people into the system. If you look at the laterals, there's a lot of, I think the last few years there's been a lot of lateral movement between police officers and fire going between departments, whether it be across the Denver metro area, the state, or even the country. And people have their different reasons for doing that. That particular process is very interesting to me just because I think there's a rich perspective that's brought in by lateral officers, especially from bigger cities or from rural counties that maybe bring something to the city that we haven't seen. So that part is probably very, very interesting to me. And I would say it's probably the most interesting to me. The disciplinary process is important just because it's due process for people that are in potentially a bad spot, right? So to ensure that fairness is applied appropriately to all those people, that's also very important. But for whatever reason, the lateral process, I think, is very interesting because it does really offer an interesting way to bring in a different perspective to the city that I think makes the community better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gardner, is he with us? I don't believe he is. Councilmember Hancock, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for coming. Really appreciate your interest in serving in this important role and completing your application. You said it first, but thank you very much for doing that. As a council appointee, what would be your most important contribution to the Civil Service Commission?
Consistency. There's an article that was written by Michael Hancock not too long ago, probably within the last week, that talked about the lack of civil engagement in city politics. So where I think I can really bring something to the table is consistency in understanding of the process and in attending the meetings and in being there for every step of the way. I think it's very important for people that are going through the process to have a commission that is engaged. So that's something that I want to continue. I've watched some proceedings over the last couple of years, and I've appreciated just how disciplined the Civil Service Commission members have been over the several. I want to continue that process. So for me, it's consistency. And then, I have an interesting perspective. I've been here my entire life. I've lived in many different parts of the city, so I've seen some different things. I've been in law enforcement in more of a rural capacity in Jefferson County. And I've got, my life story and my job story. I never in a million years would have believed I'd be in the position I'm in now. So I think there's also an openness to, there's so many different opportunities and different possibilities for people that want to get into public safety. And so for me, I think it's really about just being open and honest and consistent with people that are going through the process and allowing for the fact that everyone makes mistakes. That doesn't mean that they should be excluded, other than, of course, the four majors. But doesn't mean that they should be excluded. And maybe it's every now and then it's important to take a chance on somebody.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Horton, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks so much for being here, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. So my question for you today is, the commission also serves as a jury of Aurora residents when hearing discipline appeals from civil service members. How would you balance protecting due process for public safety personnel with maintaining accountability when misconduct occurs? And what principles should guide the commission so its decision strengthens public trust and reinforces a culture of prevention, intervention, and community safety?
It's a great question. For me, I think it's follow the facts and transparency. Whenever you begin to go down a road of not being honest and not being forthcoming with what's happening within a specific process, then you start to get into real big trouble. you want to get the public to stop trusting you, stop being transparent. So, we're part of this. This board's part of the Sunshine Act, so it's important to be transparent, and that means in every way, shape, and form, you've got to be part of that. You've got to be open and transparent. So for me, it's follow the facts. The public safety is right, wrong, or indifferent is held to a higher standard. So for me, it's very important that while you do balance due process, there is that higher standard that Aurora Public Safety is required to maintain. So in some cases, you really have to balance, like you said, it's a difficult question to answer because you sometimes have to take it by case basis and balance the needs of the community versus the needs of the individual. That doesn't mean that anybody should get hung out to dry, but there is, I think there is there's a way to balance due process with transparency while still holding people that are in public safety to a higher level.
Councilmember Lawson, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Joshua, thank you for applying. So I'm going to read this question, so I might not be looking at you
No, you're
just
fine.
directly. The commission is responsible for conducting hearings on discipline appeals that are filed by police officers and firefighters after they receive a discipline order from the chief. In these hearings, the employee and the department present evidence of their case, typically through their attorneys. The commission is authorized to confirm, reverse, or modify the disciplinary order. Do you have any experience with these type of proceedings? And secondly, do you believe you could be objective in deciding such matters?
Yeah, so I do, actually. When I was part of the independent review board for the city, and again, it's been revamped, so there was only a few cases that I heard while I was a part of that board, but as part of that, the charter for that, by that board, and at the time it was administered by Stephen Redfern, now Chief of Police in Boulder, he would bring information and cases to. It was basically, this is what's happened. The police officer is filing a complaint, so it's all police, not fire. But they were, they've lodged an appeal essentially saying that the discipline is not, within bounds, and on the cases that I heard, we had to weigh the evidence, right? You had to see, and it's a little bit more truncated because you don't see the whole fact pattern. You got a briefing of what happened. You see the IA file. You have to go in and see the IA file and read it, remember it, take notes. And there were a couple of times where it was a pretty nasty situation where it was very difficult to kind of identify the line where, what would I have done in this situation? But at the same time, you look at it objectively and you say, okay, well, the chief is stating that, this is probably the recommended discipline to be sent to the Civil Service Commission for, kind of a thumbs up on this is how we're going to do it. And you just have to make a decision. And again, it's balancing the public interest versus the facts. There were a couple of times where, I think it was very difficult for me to be objective because I was so recently kind of removed away from being in law enforcement. It was right after that period of time. But it was a great emotional and intellectual exercise for me because I was able to step back and look and be like, okay, you're not. Forget this back the blue stuff. It's just, it's be the right person, be the good person, be the person that's looking at the facts and make an objective decision. So I've got experience doing it. I have done it and I can do it again. Okay.
Thank you. You're over time. Councilmember Medina, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Judge, for applying. My question is, how do you view the role of community involvement in public safety?
I think it's a partnership. I view it as a partnership. And to be completely honest, for me, I think it's more on public safety and law enforcement to extend that hand and to work for that partnership. Very important for them to do that. So, for me, I think that community involvement in public safety with public safety comes down to understanding both sides, understanding what you're seeing from a public perspective, understand what law enforcement and fire are seeing from their perspective, and then balancing, what's the right way to engage here? We can disagree, but what's the right way to meaningfully engage here? Have a candid dialogue, and try to come to some kind of an agreement on how to manage a specific situation. But both sides have a part to play. But again, I feel pretty strongly that public safety, it's on them to continue to try and to maintain that relationship.
Thank you. Councilmember Wiles, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for serving on so many different boards and commissions. it's hard sometimes to get community to be so involved, so I admire that a lot. And I'm sure, as you know from being on some of these other boards and commissions, that at times you're going to have to make unpopular decisions. So how do you handle any backlash or outside pressure while also working to ensure that your decisions are fair, unbiased, and non-political?
Sure. I am a true independent from a political on the political spectrum, so I really do see both sides, and I try to kind of operate from that perspective on everything that I do. In my role now professionally, I have to make some unpopular decisions from the perspective of what makes business sense and what doesn't make business sense. So I'm used to it. I've been doing this for a long time, so the backlash doesn't necessarily concern me at all. I find it's an honor, in my opinion, to be in a position where you're in this situation where you actually have to make a decision that has such an impact that the right decision, while it might not be the most popular, someone that if you're in that position to make that decision, even if you do this for 10 years and you're in one contentious position and you're in a position to make the right call, even if it's unpopular, I can't think of any greater honor. So that, to me, I look at it as an honor and a privilege. I look forward to it. It's not something that concerns me.
Thank you. See, is Councilmember Jackson or Gardner with us yet? No. Okay. Mr. Rattle, thank you again for. You did not make the list. I don't know.
That's because you're the mayor pro tem. So
Okay.
it's like mayor pro tem.
Oh, no, you are. I just missed you. Okay. Councilmember Coombs, you are now, Mayor Pro Tem, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. All
Ouch,
good.
I'm in trouble.
Although my colleagues covered a lot of the questions I wanted to cover. So historically, we've had some difficulty with recruiting good candidates.
I'm aware.
So what would you do if we had a situation where we need to hire a lot of folks, but the folks that are coming before you, you have significant concerns about their background?
This may be one of those contentious issues, right? So for me, like I said before, I've had a lot of very good people stand in the gap for me when I've made some pretty stupid decisions, made some mistakes, and been in a position where if you were to look at me at that moment in time, it would not be something that would be at the top of your list of, yeah, let's go with this. It'd be very concerning. That said, it should be something as you go through this process, especially as you need more people. Some of those people that maybe have a concerning background or maybe have made mistakes but have made different decisions and different choices to come around, you need that on the street, I think. So, for me, again, it's I think about the way that the U.S. government does clearance process, because I deal with that every single day. So the clearance process is the one person, it's the one person mentality. No matter what is going on, you look at the person in their totality of their circumstances, and you make an assessment based on that. You don't let any one thing guide a yay or nay decision. And I've always appreciated the way that is done. So for me, I think it's the whole person mentality. You've got to look at every person case by case, and we need people that are willing to serve. And the willingness to serve, I think, to me, is something that should be taken very seriously, and should be commended, especially in this climate, in this political climate that we're in. And some of those concerning people can turn out to be some of the most important people and the most influential people. So I would look at it from that perspective.
Thank you.
Mr. Riddell, thank you so much again for applying for the Civil Service Commission. Yes. Is it okay if I finish?
He gets a question too.
I'm sorry. And you are now recognized for 1 minute for closing remarks.
So no, I appreciate the willingness to hear me out and to entertain my application. I've wanted to get back into service. The reason I kind of stepped away for a while is my youngest son was born. He's finally at a point now where he's old enough and he's a little bit more independent, and I'm not chasing him around nearly as much, so I've got a little bit more time to do this. And I've been waiting for the right opportunity to present itself, and honestly, it's been this one. I've been waiting for this one to kind of open up. So this has been something that I didn't apply for because it became an opening. It's because I've been looking for it and it finally became opened. So I'm very interested in doing this. I think I bring a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge of this city, what we've been through as a city and a community, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think I've got the right education, the right background, the right experience to be an influential and important member.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep.
Let's see. Rex McKinney. Thank you. Councilmember Bergen, may I proceed? Is that okay?
You want to be city attorney too? You want some money? You want some money? That's all we want is the money.
Well, now I know what questions they're going to ask, so I figured out another question that doesn't take their questions. So we're all good. You can either have me go at my correct time
Would you
or
rather,
at the end. I
well,
don't
what's
care.
your preference?
I don't care. Whatever works.
Do you want to
Just
go?
don't skip. Just
Do you want to
don't
go at
skip.
the end, or you want to
That's
go?
Yeah, it was, but it's okay. It's
It is.
good because I would have asked some of other people's questions. So I'm glad I went last because I didn't have that question on my mind. And I think it actually is a good one.
Do you want me to run upstairs and get you an energy drink?
I think I need one.
I got one
I think I need
upstairs.
one.
Or at least some green tea.
I have like the witch's brew. It's really good.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Rex McKinney, thank you so much for your interest in being on the Civil Service Commission. You have 1 minute for your opening remarks.
Beginning now, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to start by thanking council for allowing me to come down here and speak with you about this position today. My name is Rex McKinney. I've been a resident of Aurora for 37 years. I was in the police department for 35 of those years. During my time at the police department, I promoted to lieutenant, and I did several stints as acting commander of a police district while I was in the PD. Since I retired 2 years ago, I've been busying myself with hobbies and some volunteer time down at the Denver Aquarium. I believe that the work that the Civil Service Commission does here is very important to the city and the community. And I'm a big believer in what they're doing and the mission that they're accomplishing. I think, but my experience and my dedication and my belief in what they're doing would be a big benefit for myself and for the Civil Service Commission if I was to be allowed to be on that position.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you being
Thank
here
you.
and applying. We have a lot of folks, different folks that are going to be on the commission, and you all have to work together. What traits do you bring that will enhance Aurora?
I've always been involved in things when I was at the PD and outside of the PD that involved a lot of teamwork. My hobbies, I did a side job as a scuba instructor, so I had to deal with all sorts of different people from the community. I actually enjoy working with different people from the communities, different aspects. And I think that I could really benefit and help work with those teams, build that teamwork approach towards working towards those goals on civil service.
Mayor Pro Tem Coombs, you're now recognized for 2 minutes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Councilmember Bergen, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Hi.
Here, Rex,
Thank
appreciate
you.
you applying for this important commission. As you know, the commission deals with the hiring process, also the disciplinary process, and then promotions. So based on that, can you tell me a little bit about the different processes that you're aware of, and if any of them appeal to you more?
I wouldn't say, and I'll start out by saying, I wouldn't say any of them appealed to me more. Maybe the promotional process. I sat as an SME for 2, that's a subject material expert, on civil service for 2 promotional exams for lieutenant. I also was involved back in the early 90s. They allowed officers to sit on an interview panel for officers that were being hired, and we interviewed them and they were scored, and that was part of the process through civil service to hire officers, and I was involved in that. So I've been involved with several of those. The discipline, I understand about the disciplinary process. I've been on both sides in my career. I was on the side of an officer and saw it from that aspect. As a lieutenant and being part of command staff, you're involved with the investigations that go on. So, and that's how I finished up my career. And I just believe that is incredibly important to have those things handled correctly. And where discipline needs to be disciplined, it needs to be handed out. That's part of the service of the Civil Service Commission is protecting those things and making sure the citizens and the city are protected, and that the officers are on the other side if that needs to happen too.
Okay, great. And then the hiring process?
Oh, the hiring process, yes, that was part of what I was saying with being involved with the interviews for the hiring process when officers came in back in the early 90s. I know that's not done anymore. And I know that there's a lot of review that goes on of the, if there's disqualifications and things like that, civil service has to handle that. The commission reviews those files and takes votes and works with that.
Great, thank you very much.
Member Jim Coombs.
Thank you,
You are
Mayor.
now recognized for 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. What would you do if we really needed to hire more people to the police or fire departments, but the people that were before you had concerning backgrounds?
Well, we'd have to review those backgrounds, and if they just did not meet our requirements, if they didn't meet those merits that we needed established, we're not going to be able to hire them. That's just got to be a hard and fast rule that we have to stick with so that we serve the community, serve the city well, and serve the citizens with getting the proper people hired and vetted for those jobs.
Councilmember Gardner is not with us. Councilmember Hancock, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate your willingness to serve on the commission. As a council appointee, what would be your most important contribution to the Civil Service Commission?
Well, the time that I can dedicate to them, my belief in the system of civil services, there's a long history with that, obviously, in the United States and throughout the community. And I believe it's merit-based hiring that we promote for the right reasons, and the discipline, and that understanding those beliefs and what that core mission is, and that it is all to serve the city, and overall the biggest thing is to serve the citizens, to make sure they're getting the proper representation they need and protections they need. I think since I have a good understanding of that I could bring that to the table and make sure that that is how I carry forward with my duties if I was on the commission.
Thank you.
Councilmember Horton, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
All right, here's my question. I'm just going to read. The commission also serves as a jury of Aurora residents when hiring discipline appeals from civil service members. How would you balance protecting due process for public safety personnel with maintaining accountability when misconduct occurs? And what principles should guide the commission to its decisions, strengthening public trust and reinforcing a culture of prevention, intervention, and community safety?
I believe that it's on the mission statement on the Facebook or on the webpage for Aurora City Civil Service Commission, and that is you need to make sure everything's merit-based for the hiring. As I understood part of the question, you need to make sure that the integrity and values that represents are expressed. On the disciplinary side, those same sort of things come into play. You need to make sure that the integrity and that the respect of the due process is there, but you also need to make sure that you're following the rules and that if discipline needs to happen, it needs to happen. Those are things that is hard and fast. But it's mostly based on again, the integrity, the merit-based system, proper promotional exams, and we're protecting, again, the city, the community, and the citizens by following those things in every aspect of the commission's jobs and duties.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson, you are now recognized for 2 minutes. Is she not there? Oh, there you are. Okay.
So thank you so much for being here and volunteering in this position and capacity.
Thank you.
How do you feel your experience working in Aurora Police Department will serve you, and how will you balance the bias of working for the Aurora Police Department as well?
I believe that my experience from there, as I said in my opening statement, I'd promoted up through the ranks. I'd served on both sides where, and especially having my time in the command staff where you're conducting these investigations on the officers and for the disciplinary part, that I understand both sides of it. And I'm not just one-sided on that. I believe that my time in helping as an SME with promotional processes, the interviews I talked about doing with officers back in the 90s, even though that was a long time ago, gave me a good insight into the inside processes of hiring and of promotions. And then again, my beliefs in this, I truly do believe that the civil service is a very important instrument for the city, any city, anywhere, so that we are doing merit-based hiring and those things that I've already talked about, so that we get the best candidates. And I think and disciplinary processes and everything that goes on is fair, and that serves the overall mission so much better.
Thank you. Councilmember Lawson, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Rex. Thanks you for replying.
Thank
So I'm
you.
going to go back to the disciplinary proceeding.
Okay.
So this is maybe a little bit of a loaded question.
Okay.
The commission is responsible for conducting hearings on discipline appeals that are filed by police officers and firefighters after they received a discipline order from the chief. In these hearings, the employee and the department present evidence of their case, typically through their attorneys. The commission is authorized to confirm, reverse, or modify the disciplinary order. Do you have any experience with these type of proceedings? And then secondly, do you believe you could be objective in deciding such matters?
I do believe that I can be very objective to start with that one. Again, and I didn't mention this, I was on the APA board for 2 years back in the early 90s. So I got to see it from that side. Again, I got to see it from the command staff side, where you can see both sides of those issues that come up. And it's important that both sides get to be heard. It's very important that both sides get to make their points. And I've heard about enough of those things over the years when I was involved that some are based on both sides based in good arguments, and you've got to be very open-minded and go in and listen to the whole argument. As I've said, and I've always said this, that nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. And I have always believed that throughout my career, and we need to take discipline to those that need to be served discipline. The chief's handed down, and it makes it better for the department, the city, everybody involved, if those things are handled appropriately. If not, then there's a real breakdown in the system, and that's not good. And civil service is a big part of that system, and I believe that those things need to be handled correctly.
Councilmember Medina, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thanks, sir. Okay, Rex, my question is, how do you view the role of community being involved in public safety?
It's absolutely important. Again, I said like the duties, the primary duty of civil service is to protect the community and citizens. And if we don't have input from them in all aspects of our what's going on within the city, then we're missing out on it. They're the customers, they're the bosses, whatever term you want to put on it, they've got to be involved, and we've got to accept that involvement, and we've got to take input from them, or we're really missing out on the boat.
Thank you.
Councilmember Wiles, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
photography?
Yes,
Canon, Nikon, Sony?
Nikon.
Okay,
Uh-oh,
minus 5. I'm kidding. So serving on some of these commissions, obviously at times you're going to have to make unpopular decisions. So how do you handle any backlash or outside pressure while also working to ensure your decisions are fair, unbiased, and non-political?
I'll go back to my career where I was promoted in those command positions. You have to make those decisions, but you have to know that those are the best things that are going to work out for the agency or for wherever those decisions are made. Being on the Civil Service Commission, if we have to make unpopular decisions, they have to be made because the whole mission is what's most important. And you just have to deal with the consequences from that when you make those decisions. That's part of the role I'm accepting by volunteering for this position, is that I know that may happen, and I'm willing to deal with those consequences. I've had to deal with them in past experiences.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you again for your interest in applying to be in the Civil Service Commission, as well as your service to the city of Aurora. You have 1 minute for closing remarks.
Again, I have some notes here. I wrote some things down. So first off is the history of civil service, and a little bit of a history lesson. I learned this back in my high school, but civil service started with the federal government in the late 1800s, then started expanding into cities and different communities. Aurora started their civil service in 1967. And all of those civil service inceptions were because they wanted merit-based hiring, promotions, and discipline. And the primary reason of those, I've hit on it several times, and it's because I really believe on it, was it's a protection of the city, protection of the community, and protection of the citizens. And that's the most important part of all this. And what I'd learned back in my history classes years ago was if there was hirings based on other things than the merit-based, politicians would get involved, chiefs would get involved, leaders would get involved, and then they would form these groups around them, and corruption would be there, and just unsavory type of behaviors. And I truly believe that we need to be in civil service, or that civil service needs to be there to focus on that mission so those things don't happen, to protect those things. I believe that with my experience and my desire to help with the community and the citizens, I want to stay involved with the city and the community, that I would be a good fit for civil service from my side, and hopefully I could bring a lot to the commission to help them with their duties and their mission also.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your service to the city and your interest in applying for the Civil Service Commission. Thank you, Mr. McKinney.
Thanks for allowing me.
So you take it to him and not to me? Is that his new look? Is that what it's all about? Is that the deal? Oh.
Running meetings. Last my mother-in-law.
Did have a Canon digital camera. Not that, not the film.
So like a SIM card.
Okay, Mr. Marcus Moreno, thank you so much for your interest in applying for the Civil Service Commission. You have 1 minute for your opening remarks.
Thank you. And good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Thank you for the opportunity of interviewing today. My name is Marcus Moreno. I am a resident of Aurora. I currently serve as an occupational safety and health compliance officer with the United States Department of Labor. where I conduct investigations, review evidence, and apply regulatory standards to ensure fair and consistent enforcement. Prior to that, I spent 20 years in the United States military as a military police officer, where I participated in promotions of disciplinary boards and gained experience evaluating personnel decisions and maintaining procedural fairness. I'm interested in serving with the Civil Service Commission because it plays an important role in maintaining a transparent, merit-based system for our police and fire professionals. I believe my investigation background, regulatory experience, and public safety service would allow me to continue positively to the Commission and the Aurora community. And with that, I open up any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for coming and applying.
Yes.
Here on the commission, you're going to have to work with a ton of other people from different backgrounds. What traits do you bring to the commission that will effectively help Aurora?
So with my prior experience dealing with disciplinary and hiring and promotion boards, I believe working with that concept of that past 20 years experience has really helped me kind of understand and work collaboratively in providing what I've had experienced in the past to support whatever outcomes with the commission itself.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Bergen, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Marcus, for applying for this important commission.
Yes,
I also want to commend you. You're one of 2 of the 4 that actually did elaborate on why you wanted to be on the commission on your application. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
So my question is regarding the Civil Service Commission, based on our city charter, has the different processes for hiring, for disciplinary, and then also for promotional processes. Can you tell me a little bit about those processes and if any one of them appeals to you more than another?
So after reviewing the last minutes from, I believe it was last month, on the hiring process and how that procedure is changing over to a third party, I do have some agreements with that as well. But I also believe that higher leadership within the Aurora Police Department should also have a big impact in that hiring process when it comes to the major percentage of that. So I do agree with that portion. I don't see anything objectively, but I do have an understanding of the fair balance that should go on when reviewing those cadets and those candidates for those positions.
Okay, and then just follow up, Mayor?
Yes.
So what, on the disciplinary side of it, any thoughts about that process?
So with the discipline, the way it goes about, it's based on the procedures within the commission. So the one thing I would definitely go and tell is what evidence is fact-based, what guidance has been given, based on the procedures of the commission, and then how to follow through those procedures based on the evidence that's already given, and then work on a actual answer within a group to apply that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gardner. Councilmember, let's see, Mayor Pro Tem Coombs, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
I'm helping.
All right.
I'm trying to.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. We've had some difficulties with hiring in the past. So if we were in a position where we really needed to hire more personnel, but the people who were before you to hire had concerning backgrounds, how would you handle that situation?
It's going to be based on their past experiences. What concerns are actually within the backgrounds that meet the standard of what is already set. Again, if we have a hiring process that already has a standard that's met, that needs to be set, are they meeting that standard first? And then if there is a disconcerting to that standard, how big of a disconcerting is it? That would allow us to possibly take that risk in hiring that employee. So I think those things would have to be evaluated first to make an overall decision.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hancock, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. What branch?
Air Force.
All right, my man. Okay. Me too. Okay. That notwithstanding, Mayor. As a council appointee, what is your most important contribution that you can make to the
Is that a
civil
branch of
service
military service?
Again, that's going to be the past experience, but really understanding the investigative process that goes on with the applications, the disciplinary or the hiring process, really breaking those down to kind of see and have a pretty much a impartial, excuse me, I'll break that down, having kind of a open judgment to interpretation and really kind of following that. Is the standard being met that we set already for our officers, and, with the police and the fire department? So really breaking that down and then giving an overall conclusion to that as well. And again, consulting with the other board members to kind of gain that discussion as well to reach that conclusion.
Thank you.
Councilmember Horton, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so I have here, the commission also serves as a jury of Aurora residents when hearing discipline appeals from civil service members. How would you balance protecting due process for public safety personnel with maintaining accountability when misconduct does occur? And what principles should guide the commission so its decisions strengthen public trust and reinforces a culture of prevention, intervention, and community safety?
Boy, that was a long one.
That was. I can repeat it if you need me to.
Yeah, no worries. And again, kind of referring back to that same one, to mean that public trust is to be open to understanding both sides of whatever process that's happening. And again, I guess if we're going back to discipline, really kind of understanding both sides to that, and then really looking at, again, based on what was set as the standard, that was already set by the council as well, to make sure that is applying. So not sure if that was the correct answer or a short answer, but yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thanks, Mayor. In your application, you said that you have firsthand knowledge of unbiased decision-making. What are some practices you have in place to continue to sharpen your unbiased decision-making skills?
Yeah, thank you. Keep questioning what's been presented to you at the very beginning. There may be a package or a disciplinary package or a hiring package that comes towards you that has already things that are laid out for you. But if you keep questioning, where did those answers come from, or how was it evolved for those facts to kind of come to my table here or actually present it? Those are the things we still need to kind of look into in providing that open judgment. So again, that would probably be the answer, is just keep questioning to it.
Councilmember Lawson, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Marcus, for applying, and also thank you for your service in the United States military.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate that. So this is a kind of going back to discipline. It is kind of a loaded question, so bear with me here. The commission is responsible for conducting hearings on discipline appeals that are filed by police officers and firefighters after they receive a discipline order from the chief. In these hearings, the employee and the department present evidence of the case, typically through their attorneys. The commission is authorized to confirm, reverse, or modify any disciplinary order. Do you have experience with these type of proceedings? Secondly, do you believe you could be objective in deciding such matters?
I do. And in my past 20 years as a non-commissioned officer in the Air Force, I have been a part of promotion boards and disciplinary boards. So with that process, there is, of course, fact evidence-based, gathering that, make sure that the procedures were met within the board to kind of understand that the actual official judgment was met, and then providing that recommendation to our unit commander at that time to neither yay or nay based on those judgments. So there is that, but there's going back to the original question, there is also questioning of understanding of how did it evolve for that violation, or how did it evolve for that package to end up with the commission itself for us to break that down. So again, that would be more of a lot of analytical to understand exactly where that discipline's coming from and hearing both sides of it with an open experience and breaking that as well.
Councilmember Medina, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Marcus, for applying. My question is, how do you view the role of community being involved in public safety?
That's a good question. My view of community, especially with the city of Aurora, we are a very diverse community, which is a great thing. So taking all understanding on exactly where people come from and their backgrounds as well, and then looking at that and applying to the roles of what we're doing here to make sure that there is an accurate balance and an understanding of what we're seeing and how we pretty much help the community in this type of role. So that's kind of my view of that right now, and I think it's a great thing.
Councilmember Wiles, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you. So being part of a commission like this, you're going to have to make unpopular decisions. So how do you handle any backlash, outside pressure, et cetera, while also working to ensure your decisions are fair, unbiased, and non-political?
Studying this question. I believe the commission and with myself remains impartial. So making decisions based on the established rules and evidence given. So with maintaining that independence, I believe it's important for both of us and employees to be involved in the public trust of that process.
Thank you. Well, thank you again, Marcus, for applying, and you have 1 minute for closing remarks.
Again, sir, thank you so much for speaking to me. And again, thank you, City Council members, for this interview. I greatly appreciate that. This has by far been the most intimidating interview I've ever experienced since the military. But with that, thank you again for this interview today. My career has been built around public service and fairness and accountability. First during my military service and now through my work with the Department of Labor. I would be honored to bring that experience to the Civil Service Commission and serve the residents of Aurora. And I am open to any additional questions after this interview if needed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.
OP, you had a question about whether or not the Air Force is actually a branch of military service?
You'll never see it coming.
I'm not getting a bit of this, for the record. Wow.
You guys are tough. The last interview. Some good candidates. Ms. Mays, thank you so much for your interest in applying for the Civil Service Commission. You have 1 minute for opening remarks.
For me?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for considering me. I'm glad to be here. My name is Dr. Thomas Mays. I'm pastor of the Living Water Christian Center. Been in the Aurora since 1984, native Coloradan, and look forward to working with the Civil Service Commission.
Councilman Andrews, you have 2 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Mays, here in Aurora, we have a Civil Service Commission where you have to work with a lot of different folks. What type of traits do you bring to the commission that's going to enhance Aurora?
Well, mentally, I bring a lot of diversity within myself. I've worked with the city of Aurora since 1990. doing a lot of things that I think really helps the community. So I work with the NAACP, key community response team, one of the founders of ACOF, the Aurora Community of Faith. Also worked with several police chiefs, all the way back to Chief Bennett, Ricky Bennett, as before 2005, so the last 25 or so years, worked with the different police chiefs and understand the essence of that, the importance of the police department and those who work diligently as police officers. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bergen, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for applying for this important commission. So my question is regarding really the civil service being in our city charter has 3 facets with the hiring, disciplinary process, and then promotional process. Can you elaborate on those processes, and then also if any one of those 3 appeals to you more than the other?
I think they're equally important. I think probably if I had to categorize them, I think the hiring process is probably the most important to me. Weeding out those who are not qualified, not necessarily not desirable. I don't like to use that word, but sometimes we've got to get the best of the best. We've got to get the best of the best, and sorting through that sometimes it takes a lot of effort. I think the police department should match up with the complexion of the community. Recruiting and trying to find a balance is important to me. I'll give you an example. I've worked with the different police chiefs on the recruiting side of it. Actually recruited my own daughter. She was a police officer, a Aurora police officer for a couple years. Probably would still be there if it had not been for my wife. She threatened me, if something happens to our daughter, then I'm going to blame you. So she went back into finance, but that's how important the recruiting part is to me, that I recruit my own flesh and blood because I believe in the Aurora Police.
And may I do a follow-up?
Please.
So the hiring process is different from recruiting process?
Yes.
You do not, okay, you would agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Mayor Pro Tem Coombs, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
And thank you, Pastor Mays, for joining us. My question is, when we are struggling to recruit enough personnel, if we had a lot of positions that we needed to fill, but the folks that were before you to evaluate had concerning backgrounds, how would you handle that situation?
We'd have to adjust the recruiting to find others. I don't think we should compromise because we do need the best of the best. I don't think we should ever get a person that that'll do. Our city is better than that. So.
Let's see, Councilmember Gardner is not here. Councilmember Hancock, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
If chosen for this, thank you, Pastor Mays, for coming, first of all. Everybody's saying that, so I'll just chime in too. If chosen for the Civil Service Commission, what do you believe will be your best strength to bring to the board?
I think my best strength probably would be the experience I've had with the police department, with the police academy, the Citizens Academy, the shoot and don't shoot, being knowledgeable of the risks that our officers have to take. I think that probably would be my greatest strength, that, as the old saying, been there, done that. So I've been on both sides. I've seen the complaints from the community. I have a good relationship with the community. I treasure my name, so integrity is so important to me. So 2 things that I think would be that strength is my community connection, the relationship I have with the community, also the relationship I have with so many of the police officers, and the experience I've had with the ride-alongs, things of that sort. Understanding the police side of it is probably one of my strengths.
Thank you.
Councilmember Horton, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thanks, Mayor. Hi, Pastor Mays.
Hey.
Hey, the question I have for you is this. The commission also serves as a jury of Aurora residents when hearing discipline appeals from civil service members. How would you balance protecting due process for public safety personnel with maintaining accountability when misconduct occurs? And what principles should guide the commission so its decision strengthens public trust and reinforces a culture of prevention, intervention, and community safety?
I think what I would look at is how can we balance that to ensure that everyone gets an equal shake, that no one is singled out. Once we set a precedent, then we have to live up to that. We have a standard, and we should keep all of our officers up to that standard and not differentiate because of any reason, whether it be race, longevity. I think that would be the main thing as far as promotions, discipline, so on and so forth, to find a way to make sure that we're just fair with everyone.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
For being here, going through this process, your willingness to serve. You'll be weighing in on a lot of important decisions if chosen for this position. What are some of your practices you have in place to counter any personal bias in the content you're receiving? What are daily things you do to combat that?
Well, I think my thorough investigation, the ability to look at both sides of it and hesitating to even make a decision without knowing all three sides of a story. So there's always what has actually happened, and to be able to put that together. So I'm very much aware of statistics and data. I think data is so important for us to understand how many people have gone through this, what is the result, what has worked, what's both best practices as far as discipline, training, and promotions. So.
See, Councilmember Lawson, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Hi, Dr. Mays. It's great to see you, and thank you for applying.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go back to the disciplinary. So this is kind of a little bit of a loaded question, so bear with me. on this.
Okay.
The commission is responsible for conducting hearings on discipline appeals that are filed by police officers and firefighters after they receive a discipline order from the chief. In these hearings, the employee and the department present evidence of their case, typically through their attorneys. The commission is authorized to confirm, reverse, or modify the disciplinary order. Do you have any experience with these type of proceedings? And secondly, do you believe you could be objective in deciding such matters?
Yes, I've had some experience on the, all the way back to Chief Bennett on the, he had at that time a police roundtable where he would discuss with community members as far as discipline and things of that sort. Also worked with Chief Oates on the community, I forget the exact name of it now, but it was after he decided the discipline, and we had a committee that would come in and talk about the discipline and get our opinion. It really didn't have a lot of teeth. We weren't able to change it, but I sat on that community advisory board with the chief to say, look at the discipline that was issued, and they would give us an opportunity to see, okay, these are the different cases that's come down the pike over the years, and this is how it was answered. This is how a person was disciplined, to show that it was fair. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Medina, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor Mays, for applying. My question is, how do you view the role of community being involved in public safety?
Wow. I view the community should be involved, but not a select community, a diverse community, not just diverse in ethnicity, but diverse in thought, in concept, diverse in experience. Once again, hearing people who see it from different angles, whether they be business people, common everyday stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, to get the idea from the concept, the understanding from each and every one. I think that's really important.
Councilmember Wiles, you're now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Pastor Mays, for being here. I just want to commend you on your list of activities that you've been involved in with the city. I know you've been involved, but when I actually read your resume, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, he's done a little bit of everything, which I think is really important as we look at this. But as you would sit on this, this commission, you would have to make unpopular decisions. How do you handle any backlash or outside pressure while also working to ensure your decisions are fair, unbiased, and non-political?
Well, I'm not a novice. I'm not a young buck. I'm not at a point where I'm trying to find friends. So I've dealt with adversity within my community as a faith leader, also as an African American. I've faced backlash on some of the decisions I've made that are not popular, but understanding the police, understanding the fire, I'm able to make those decisions, and there's not a whole lot people can do that's going to hurt me. So I say two things, and it's kind of funny, but I say often, if you don't like my decision, don't sign my paycheck. And since they don't sign my paycheck, and when I get home, a wife, family, my 4 children, my 8 grandchildren, they all accept me, so I don't worry a whole lot about backlash. Or I come to expect that. I come to expect that because I stay middle of the road, and I know there's a lot of things the community is not going to like. I know there's going to be some things the police don't. So I don't worry about backlash.
Thank you.
Mr. Mays, thank you so much for your interest in applying for the Civil Service Commission. You have 1 minute now for concluding remarks.
Well, thank you. Let me say thank you to all of you, not only for giving me an opportunity to at least apply for this position, but I also want to say thank you for the work that you do, because your work is not easy, and I realize that. And even with the question of backlash, I know you all get a lot of it, and I know you have to have tough skin to do it. So I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate our police department. We are all people, and everyone wants to go home to their family, and that's important to me. That's monumental to me. Like I said, I have 4 children and 8 grandchildren, nieces and nephews all over the city of Aurora, and I realize we're all family. We're all family, and we're better together. And finding a way to agree to disagree on certain things is so important. And that ability within itself is challenging sometimes, but I'm very thankful to my God as a pastor that He's given me the ability to agree to disagree and not use anger or emotion or those type of feelings to make a decision. So thank you.
Pastor Mays, again, thank you so much for your interest in the Civil Service Commission.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I've sent out word that we're going to get staff down here. If you want to take a 2-minute break, probably.
All right.
2-minute break.
Stand in recess for until 5 o'clock. Session of the Aurora City Council for Monday, March 9, 2026 is called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman,
Here.
Councilmember Andrews.
Here.
Councilmember Bergen. Mayor Pro Tem Coombs.
Here.
Councilmember Gardner. Here. Councilmember Hancock.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Horton. Here. Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson. Councilmember Medina. Councilmember Wiles.
There is no mayor's update. Are there any issue updates?
Put my dressing on.
Any issue updates? Seeing no issue updates, is there any objection to moving the consent calendar forward? Item number 3A through item number 3G. Seeing none, the consent calendar will move forward. Item number 4A, notice and outreach prior to abatement of unauthorized camps. Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we're going to have staff present about the item.
Stephanie Kuiper.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Stephanie Kuiper, and I am the Manager of Homelessness here at the City of Aurora. So we are here to discuss the notice and outreach prior to abatement of unauthorized camps. This is a resolution that is being put forward. So this resolution to the camping ordinance is to formalize our current practices by the Homelessness Division. This resolution includes giving no less than 72 hours notice prior to abating an unauthorized camp. The notice shall state the date and time for the abatement, inform occupants to give them an opportunity to voluntarily remove personal property, provide information to help assist with shelter and services. Advance notice is not required when the unauthorized camp presents an imminent public health or safety risk. The unauthorized camp is located on property owned or controlled by CDOT or is subject to another IGA, or if the encampment is along the I-225 corridor near Parker Road. This resolution also has the adverse weather to help protect both the individuals experiencing homelessness as well as city personnel. So unauthorized camp abatements may be postponed or canceled due to adverse weather conditions, but the Aurora Cold Weather Outreach Team will continue to operate. Any questions?
Questions of staff? Councilmember Bergen.
Can you explain why there even is a need to change the current camping ban that has been extremely effective in the last few years with our residents and our businesses?
I think thank you, Councilmember Bergen. The only thing we're doing is changing the 72-hour rule. And Jason's going to create a policy to keep that in place and make sure that we can get folks to the outreach center.
Right, but why do you think we need 72-hour notice versus, less time?
Yeah, I think that it's a humane right to have folks and give them time to get out of there so that we can get them proper services.
Okay, thank you. So, Mayor, I'm going to read something, and this happened last Friday. The Heart Unit visited a large encampment, and it was the site of a suspected drug-related death last week. One camper had 16 bundles of cash, multiple cell phones, drug paraphernalia, a scale, and roughly 20 grams of meth. That's 300 doses on the street. At the same camp, another had an active Aurora warrant for failure to appear in a dangerous drug case. So 2 arrests, 1 camp. When we give 72 hours notice, it is basically a notice to run. It is a notice to say, you've got time, you can get out of here. And I don't understand why we want to give such a long time for camps to be cleared when we have residents and businesses that have been thankful for us clearing them way sooner than having to see dangerous, activity happening. Obviously, not all of our homeless people that are experiencing homelessness are involved in crime, but there are some. And I just don't understand why we just put up a big sign that says, hey, we're gonna be here at this exact location, and we're gonna clear the camp, so you have time to get out of here. I just don't understand that.
If I could defer to the city manager.
As Stephanie said, as a practical matter, this resolution really kind of formalizes what has been our standing practice. So typically our standing practice has been our outreach teams are going out first to let folks know that they're in an unauthorized area and they're going to need to move. So we're already making that contact ahead of time. And then in terms of the 72 hours, we are, in terms of abatements, we are somewhat regulated by our outside contractors' ability to come and do those. So they are not, we do not have them on call 24 hours a day. So as a practical matter, there's just a routine and a process that we have to go through to get them around. And so I think that 72 hours is something from a staff perspective that we have generally seen be within our practice. So we're making that contact for outreach, doing those things. As Stephanie said in her presentation, there are a number of areas where we've heard from council, including Parker Road, including CDOT perspective, where we've seen some of those long-standing issues. We think there's very good understanding that that's not an area we're going to allow camping. So those areas would remain.
No, I get it. I read the backup.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
may I finish, Mayor? I read the
I
backup.
don't think you let the city manager
No, I'm
finish.
done. I read the backup, and I read the backup. I understand that we have exceptions for 225 for CDOT areas. I understand that. But by giving a 72-hour notice, I mean, even if our staff can't get there in 24 hours, the message to those that are have these encampments is you need to get out in 24 hours. And now we're saying, oh, you got 72 hours. How does that affect those who have that have those encampments near their homes, safety for their children? How does that affect their businesses?
Again, if we have concerns about imminent threats, we can always, enforce the camping ban sooner. So again, that's why we felt it was important to keep that. So again, this is just, again, we think in keeping with what our practice has been and what our processes have entailed.
And may I ask one more question? And I guess I'll ask it to the city manager. So what defines an imminent threat?
Go ahead, Roberto. Yeah.
So it's spelled out in several areas under the section where criminal activity has been or is being committed, where fires have occurred. They're spelled out in detail, sections A through L, which give the exigent factors that would constitute an area that would need to be abated under the 72 hours. So they're pretty specific. If any criminal activity, what you're describing, saying, then that would be the opportunity to be abated before the 72 hours. So it's spelled out in the ordinance currently. That's not changing.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yeah, Jason, so I have a couple questions. So I had an abatement that, well, I don't even know because I don't even know if the council request has been filled because I submit so many over in Meadowwood. So that gentleman was over there. That's a park. There was a potential issue with the fire hazard, possibly because there's a pit over there. I don't even know if it got abated or whatever. So to me, what is that an imminent one?
So again, going back to the fire area, if you're saying there's a fire pit, things like that, that would fall into that category that would be allowed to be abated
But the
prior to the
residents
72
over
hours.
there, I can guarantee you, they would not be accepting 72 hours. They want that because kids go through that park, and I can guarantee you that. And then all of these questions, these questions that were part of the old one before we initiated this 72 hours. Identify the camp, okay, I understand it. State the date and approximate time. Describe the reason for the abatement. Inform the occupants. I don't remember all of these conditions 1 through 6 being part of this on the former one where we can abate immediately. And I have a lot of, not just on Parker Road, but I had a gentleman who was just laying over there on Parker Road near the Village Inn, just laying there. I think he moves from place to place up and along Parker Road, just laying there 2 hours when I came back from north and going south. So can you just tell me, how is that? We're just gonna let the person just lay there?
So again, it's actually is interesting. We were having a conversation with the mayor in terms of, as we've seen what constitutes camping, we're seeing, less and less sort of structures, tents, things like that. And you're seeing folks that perhaps are more individual or transit in their nature. And so it's something, as we kind of implement this, we'll continue to monitor that and see what's going on. But I will tell you that from a enforcement capacity, again, staff feels that this is in keeping with the way we've had to practice it, giving some of those limitations we've talked about in the past.
City Attorney.
Yeah, just for council, just to be clear, this is just a resolution. This is not actually changing city code. So the city code is going to stay the same. It's really solidifying what Jason has explained, this is the normal practice of staff, right? So I think what you've been seeing, is that what you're saying, Jason? What we've been seeing since we changed the camping ban last year in response to the Supreme Court case, they're going to continue doing the same thing. It's just been codified in a resolution as official direction, but we're not changing the underlying ordinance.
Just one question, follow-up. So at the Housing and Development Community Meeting, when this was brought up, I asked former Jessica Prosser if this would impact the ordinance. She told me yes. So if that should not have been stated then.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's why I said this is a rollback of a slow rollback of the camping ban. And to me, I still believe that. So Jessica Prosser said that. So
Okay.
that this would be impactful to the ordinance.
So, Councilmember Lawson, because this is a resolution and not an ordinance, the only way to roll back the camping ban would be another ordinance to repeal what was done or to amend what was in the city code. Again, this is just a resolution which is only council's direction to your appointees. And in this particular case, it's the city manager.
Yeah. And let me just say that if I see that there are problems that were unanticipated by this change, I'll be the first to bring back changes to correct the matter. Councilmember Hancock.
So I agree with Councilmember Lawson. This is like Chinese water torture. I feel like this is a drip. This is going to go back into reverse. But since the current practice we have, and I've seen it on Parker Road as evidence, Parker and Iliff, Parker 225, since the current practice already signals to individuals that camps that they're in, they're expected to move. We're not playing whack-a-mole anymore because I've seen it up and down Parker Road. They know you're coming, they move, then they move, and then they move. What additional benefit does changing this resolution provide? And is this constituent-driven? Did you get a lot of emails with people saying, hey, let's add 72 hours and give people more notice to move? Because the emails that I'm getting, people are not happy even with the prospect of this. And I don't know, we're supposed to be serving the people we work for, which are the citizens of this city. How does this do that?
Roberto, I wonder if you could certainly feel free to address Councilmember Hancock's question, but let me. This doesn't change policy when it comes to CDOT land, and probably the greatest concentration of problems that we have is along CDOT right-of-ways, correct?
The IGA requires us, because they've been posted as trespassing, no trespassing, require us, per the IGA, to remove those abatements along those I-225 corridor and along Parker Road and 225.
Okay.
That will remain the same.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, so we've had an IGA with CDOT with respect to Parker Road, with respect to I-225 for some time, and that is specifically laid out. And because of the issues at Parker and 225 specifically, of all the jurisdictional confusion, that's also spelled out to be exempted from that notice, because we understand that that results in difficulty actually following through on enforcement. But I just want to note again what Roberto referred to, and this has been the practice even before the camping ban, is that camps can be immediately abated if there's death or serious bodily injury, criminal activity, fires, evidence of rodent infestation, human fecal matter, hypodermic needles, evidence of unauthorized electrical connections, evidence of unauthorized public utility connection, preventing access to emergency services, no adequate evacuation route is present, a public health order or public health code violation is observed, or if it erodes the public infrastructure. So those are things that are not changing as a result of, because again, this is the ordinance. This is section 114, 112 that we've been having in our code. And this does not change any of that. Okay. It just says, right, we're going to send out ACOT. So in the conversations that I had with Councilmember Andrews and also with the mayor about this. The point is to let folks know what we're actually already doing, to make sure that folks understand that if it's below 40 degrees outside or snowing, no one's going around taking up people's tents, right? And that it's going to take time to clean stuff up and move it out of the way. Because when we tell people, oh, yep, this is going to get cleaned up the moment that you tell us about it, and it's not within one of those areas that's listed, then what we're really doing is we're making a false promise to people that we're going to do something faster than we actually can. So this just formalizes and communicates what are we actually doing when it comes to cold weather, right? If someone calls us and it's snowing outside and there's a tent in the park, no, we're not going to go pick that tent up. And we should be honest with them about that fact rather than conveying something other than what we actually do.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Bergen, then Councilmember Hancock.
We should be. If there's a
Councilmember Bergen, I'm sorry, then Councilmember Hancock. Councilmember Bergen.
No, I understand, and I think an educational campaign is great. Like, we should be telling them about the cold weather and so forth and what our laws are. But the fact that we're changing from our current abatement period to 72 hours, I feel like it's just, that's going to linger. That 72 hours is now going to be, a week. And everybody's like, oh, we have exceptions for CDOT. So how do our residents and businesses feel that are not along the 225 corridor? And they're like, oh, great. So they get abated faster. Ours will sit and wait until the 72 hours or a week by the time staff gets there. And I don't think just because staff can't get there, it's almost like you change the goalpost. Like, oh, well, staff can't get there. Well, there should be an expectation that staff can get there. So what are we doing to make sure staff can get there in 24 hours? Rather than say, we can't get there, so now we're going to change it to 72 hours. Or next time we're going to change it to 2 weeks. So there are expectations for whether it's code enforcement, abatements for homeless encampments that we as a city should abide by, and we don't change the goalpost because we either, I don't know, we don't have enough staff or whatever the resources that we lack. We should fix the resources because we spend a lot of money on things that probably we shouldn't.
Councilmember Hancock.
I concur with what you're saying, and I think the expectation has already been set that if you notice that you need to move your campsite, then you need to move your campsite. And if there's snowy days, and I understand the IGAs on Parker and 225, but I'm talking about also Peoria, Havana, the areas where I've seen tents and camps and just people laying out on the street. We do have a navigation campus. I know y'all heard about that one, that helps people get off the street to the campus. We should be encouraging that. We should not be encouraging people to lay on the street for whatever reason they find themselves there. The idea is to have people move from the street to the navigation campus, to services, to mental health, to resources that we need, not to empower them to continue to be out on the street. And to Councilmember Berger's point, if we need more people to make sure we get folks moved, then we need to hire more people to get folks moved. Because this is ridiculous to set an expectation for our businesses, our residents, and our people who have sent really fiery emails to me about it, that we're just going to backtrack a little bit on this now. That doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, so Stephanie, when we're talking about abatement of an authorized camp, are we talking about a person laying on the ground, or when there's debris?
Okay.
Like, does a person still have outreach come and other folks come to say, hey, do you want to go to the navigation campus, or you're not permitted to be here, you're trespassing, you need to leave? Does that still happen?
It should still happen.
Without an abatement taking place?
It should still happen.
Mayor Pro Tem has the floor, please.
When we
Stephanie.
hear or get reports of folks who are either camping outside or even maybe not camping, but kind of laying in the street or around the sidewalk, the outreach team does go out to provide resources. The Aurora Regional Navigation Campus is one of the places that we are providing, and that my team can also transport folks as well too. And so part of before an abatement process, what we do is go out 1 to 2 times to try to talk to folks about the Aurora Regional Navigation Campus, get them connected with case management services with the campus or any other resource that they may need that will help them for stability in the long term. So when we're talking abatement strictly, though, it's not necessarily people that are just laying on the streets. Then it has to fall into that unauthorized camping kind of section that was in the backup that talks about what an unauthorized camp is. But my team does respond to anyone who's experiencing homelessness in the city of Aurora.
Councilmember Wiles.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of grandstanding and stuff going on, but when we get down to the facts about hiring additional staff, we don't have the money based on decisions that were made before a lot of us were in office, and then some obviously other issues that we have in terms of revenue. So to just blanket say, well, just why don't we have enough people? We don't have enough money to hire people, so let's just start rooted in reality here. We have challenges with the Navigation Center. There are a lot of unhappy people there, and we're working. I know your team is working diligently to correct those issues, but I think the reality is, one, the camps aren't getting moved before 72 hours anyway. So this sets a realistic precedent so that our community understands while we have a camping ban, it still does take time for staff to get out there. And it also allows staff the opportunity to go educate them about the Navigation Center, because there is trepidation when it comes to it. I was walking on Colfax the other day and was talking to somebody, and they were homeless. And I said, you know, we have the Navigation Center, and they're concerned based on feedback. And so that 72 hours allows the realistic conversations to say, here's what it is, give it a try, you know, go here. And it gives them time to gather their personal belongings, pictures, IDs, birth certificates, whatever they might have, to take with them to the Navigation Center so that they don't start out at a negative where they have to re-get things that they previously did. And also, I just want to be careful that I don't enjoy generalizations to say that, you know, all people are bad, all homeless people are doing crime. I think we have to remember that these are community members that, you know, potentially lost their job or that struggled and didn't have a family that could take them in at a time that they needed help. There's mental health issues. There's people not able to afford rent because rent is high. And so I just want to be careful that we're not painting people with a broad brush and assuming that they're all criminals when the reality is not all of them are criminals. They're just people stuck in a really hard situation, and they're doing their best to get out.
Okay, I've got Councilmember Bergen, Hancock, and Lawson. Councilmember. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Horton, Bergen, Hancock, and Lawson. Councilmember Horton, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, just 2 things real quick. First, I know, Amy, Councilmember Wiles, I really appreciate your words. I think it's imperative to remember that those who are unhoused in the city boundaries of Aurora, Colorado are also residents. It's just not those who can maybe afford their bills that month, et cetera. Secondly is, from what I've understood from the presentation of staff and the reading of the changes, that this is purely around alignment of the practices already. And so that way policy and practices match and it makes sense. So.
Thank you. We are going to have to get moving, and so I'll go through the list we have right now, but I'm not going to add anybody else. Councilmember Bergen.
First of all, I never said that all homeless people are criminals. I quoted something that happened last Friday with the police, and that was just an example. So I've never said that all homeless people are criminals. So talk about generalizations. You just made one. Secondly, so we're saying that people that are sleeping in someone's in the park next door to homes, they're going to be able to stay for 72 hours versus getting help a lot sooner than the 72 hours. And first of all those people that everybody keeps saying, oh, they lost their job, or they're just temporarily out. Very rarely do those people decline going to a navigation center or to any kind of shelter. Usually, I would say the majority of them will happily go to a shelter. The majority, and the mayor, you went and camped years ago. The majority of them do have substance abuse issues and mental health issues, and sometimes they don't want to go to the shelter. But to say that, oh, it's just like a family out there is really not honest, because those families that ask for help, we have always been able to get them shelter, as far as I know in my 10 years here.
Councilmember Hancock.
Yes, and with reference to grandstanding, I don't know where that's coming from, but it doesn't matter. The fact is that we have a problem on our streets that our residents have asked us to resolve. The camping ban, the ordinance, was designed to address that issue. We have to be more disciplined and diligent in making sure that people get the appropriate services in the appropriate places that they need it. We have to deal with reality and be grown-ups here. Sometimes people are on the street because they lost their job. A lot of times they're on the street due to mental health and substance abuse problems that need to be dealt with. If they choose not to deal with those things, then as adults, you have choices. You can go to the navigation campus, you can go to treatment, or you can go to jail. Those are the three things, and so we have to be adults. We got to stop coddling and babying people. It's a very deep issue here that we have to deal with. And when we incrementally chip away at the ordinance that and I still think this is what this is, we send a message to people that they can do whatever they want. And I'm still trying, nobody's answered my question about whether or not this is constituent driven.
Okay. Councilmember Lawson.
Yeah, Jason, I'm going to put a question to you, because we had the original camping where we didn't have the 72 hours. Okay, we could originally go and do, I understand that we would go abate the camps. You guys, I know in my ward, have abated the camps. Pretty much, I'm not even talking about Parker Road. I'm talking about just all the council requests that I have done. We have new council members. How come this wasn't brought up prior to this new council that came up? Is something happened with Keeson? They can't do this anymore, or what? Because to me, if this was an issue, how come it wasn't brought up before the new council members?
Sure. So to go back a couple things. So
we were doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think we're going to continue to do this. And so part of that's, I think that's part of the what you heard Stephanie say, when this is really reflecting our current practices. So we're not waiting 72 hours to make contact. The outreach teams are going out pretty much, the same day or the next day to make contact, let folks know, you're in an unauthorized area, you have to move on. Depending on what we're doing, they're going to go out and make that contact again. And right now with Keeson, we have Keeson on essentially for the resources that we have them on a kind of regular rotating basis so that this 72 hours matches up kind of with their availability and what we're seeing. And so I think it is that routine, regular pattern that we're able to do. And I think we start to see that impacted. I think we've seen Parker Road come down significantly because we've been diligent about constantly abating that, making contact, letting folks know, and then they see that. So it is that sort of, and I know it frustrates staff or council, I know it frustrates residents, but as a reality, that's what we see. We see folks camp, whether it's in a creek bed or something like that, and then that they're typically there because they feel that it's safe, they feel that it's out of the way, but then it's getting reported, and it's us coming back week after week that ultimately that message is received that that's not a place they can be. So from a staff perspective, that's what we've seen. That's it's staff is making contact well before that 72 hours, often a few times within that to, again, get folks to resources if they're willing, or to let them know that they're going to get abated.
Then we don't need a resolution.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I guess we have a little bit more time. Councilmember Hancock, did you have a?
I'm just wondering what's the point of the resolution? It really doesn't change anything.
What's the point? And
Councilmember Bergen.
just a question, Roberto, on the, what qualifies to actually move them sooner than the 72 hours? All those different categories, that's the majority of the encampments. I mean, they are a health hazard, they are a fire hazard, it kind of fits all those categories. Very rarely does it not fit one of those categories. So then when we have residents calling, we will just say, this is a health issue, a safety issue, a fire issue, please abate immediately. That's what I'm going to tell my constituents.
Come back to bring up a fuller description of what we're seeing on the ground. The data may or may not say that all those are present when we're there.
Right,
People in tents, we don't always see all of these circumstances. We would have to look back at the data to make sure that you
So
have
if a
it.
constituent says this is a health safety issue, you will send staff immediately to determine if it's a health safety
We
issue?
would respond to the abatement regardless if we got a complaint, whether they said it was a health safety or whether it was abatement. We would send outreach to go. The staff would have to make a determination based on that there are some exigent circumstances there, and then they would make a decision to go in a different route rather than the 72-hour. But staff would have to respond. They would respond whether it was a life safety called in as a life safety or a public health issue, or whether it was just called in as a normal, hey, there's somebody camping in this spot, I want them abated. Either way, we would send out and make a determination on whether it's a 72 or a quicker turnaround. But just to that point, we will bring back, Mayor, at Horns or this committee, a little bit of a discussion on the staff that Councilmember Lawson. We made some decisions, policy decisions years ago because of TSIN and their ability. We don't have waste disposal. We don't have any of that ability. So we had to go to a third party. Because of that, we're limited. It's not necessarily staff per se. That's not really the issue. Is the cleanup and the abatement and somebody who's has the ability to do that rather than staff, which is a cost, and we just don't have third parties to do that at the frequency that would be required to do it in a 24-hour turnaround, for example.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, and then we'll get a sense of
So just to the answer, yes, I was contacted by constituents expressing concern, particularly about people's tents being taken in the snow, people being in very cold weather situations and having multiple police cars there at their encampment. So that was the initial piece that I brought up to the mayor and Councilmember Andrews that they decided to move forward with, was the cold weather issue and wanting to make sure that folks understand that ACOT is available, that sometimes when they see police, it may be ACOT. It may not be someone just trying to get somebody's tent out of there, but that people did want to know that we were treating people humanely during cold weather. So yes, a constituent did reach out to me, and I've had multiple constituents over time reach out to me with concern about cold weather abatement.
Is there objection to moving forward? Is there objection? Very well. All those in support of moving it forward? Very well. 4A will move forward. Item number 6A, Gun Club Road Transportation Working Group. Councilmember Bergen and Councilmember Wiles.
Thank you, Mayor. So in collaboration with Councilmember Wiles, as I think those of you who have been on council previously know that Gun Club Road has been a problem for us for a long, long time. And a few years ago, a resolution was passed to prioritize looking for funding for Gun Club, and that was passed unanimously. This is a little bit different because this actually goes towards how can we get parties, stakeholders together so that we can then collaborate on funding. So I think together, we share Gun Club Road, and so I think this would be a very good working group to be able to enact so that we can hopefully solve the issue.
Councilmember Wiles.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a large issue that's going to take a lot of us coming together to fix. The city doesn't have the money. No one entity has the money. And so by working together collaboratively, I think we can hopefully find a path forward to addressing these ongoing challenges.
Let me just say this is an intergovernmental working group of all the component parts because most of Gun Club Road is State Highway 30, and so it's not City of Aurora Road, and then some of it, I think, goes into unincorporated Arapahoe County to the south. And so it's really bringing all those players together with the city, the state, county governments, in trying to come up with a very specific proposal that will have a timeline associated to it that I think will be different than what's been done in the past, although what's been done in the past has been very important. For questions or comments? Laura, do you have a presentation or comments?
No, I think the council sponsors represented it well, Mayor.
Very well. Okay. Is there any objection to moving item number 4A forward? I'm sorry, 6A forward? I think we just don't want to go back to 4A.
It's traumatized.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Is there any objection to moving item number 6A forward? Seeing none, item number 6A will move forward. Thank you very much. We will adjourn the study session and reconvene on the floor at the dais at 6 p.m. At 6 a.m.